Before I ask NJN's Executive Director, Elizabeth Christopherson, to introduce Ann Limberg, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Garden State Women Magazine, the Jabo, NJN, NJBIZ, the Daily Record, and the Moran Media Group for sponsoring tonight's Female Entrepreneur Lecture. In fact, it was Brian Moran who helped connect us to Ann, so I thank him personally for that. Now let me turn it over to Elizabeth to introduce tonight's lecturer.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Jim, for inviting us to share in the excitement here tonight. I can imagine as we come back in years to come that you'll have many guest lecturers to choose from right here from this talent pool that we started to hear and recognize tonight. But I'm particularly glad to be here this evening because of my deep regard for tonight's speaker. You've had some tremendous people here, right here at FDU, celebrating what the entrepreneur can do. But it is a special privilege to be able to introduce tonight's speaker, Ann Limberg. And to put tonight's speaker in context, you should know that Fortune magazine recently ranked the Bank of America as the second most admired company in the mega bank category. So it is my very great pleasure to introduce you to Ann Limberg. As the Senior Bank of America Executive for New Jersey, she is the person providing statewide leadership for the business, civic, and philanthropic activities of the corporation. But that's not all. She's also the Market Executive for the Private Bank for New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Long Island, and Delaware. And her experience includes senior positions in retail banking and private banking at NatWest and Citibank. She came to the Bank of America through a merger with Fleet Bank. Amazingly, Ann is able to find time to serve on the Board of Trustees of the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, the Liberty Science Center, and United Way of Bergen County. And last year, she chaired the NJN Gala, for which we're very grateful. She's also a mother. She's also someone who, if you spend time with her, you will be very intrigued by the power of her narrative. And so I am so delighted that you have the chance tonight to hear her story and join me in our great admiration for her broad experience, her impressive professional credentials that will provide a strong base for her message to you tonight. Please welcome a very special person, Ann Limberg.
Thank you so much, excuse me, Elizabeth, for such a wonderful introduction. I appreciate it very, very much. Boy, good evening. What a pleasure it is to be here tonight. And I want to find the young gentleman in the audience who has the anti-theft device for the ATMs in particular. I think that was of great interest to me. I would very much like to extend my congratulations to all of the winners of this year's NJ Business Idea Competition. For those of us in business and industry, it is very reassuring to know that the next generation of entrepreneurs is so actively engaged in thinking about and implementing new business ideas. You are very impressive, and I have no doubt that one of you could be the next Bill Gates or Mary Kay Ash. You know, when I was invited to speak to you this evening, it struck me as novel to have someone who works for one of the world's largest financial institutions talk to a group of entrepreneurs. I mean, Bank of America employs nearly 180,000 people and 5,700 retail banking centers throughout the nation. And to many of you here tonight, these must sound like huge numbers, and they are. And while it's true that Bank of America is a massive corporation with many, many lines of business, it's also an environment in which those who possess an entrepreneurial spirit can thrive. But the fact is that in today's globally competitive business arena, all companies, small, big, or gargantuan, must be able to respond quickly to changing markets and demands or risk loss and even failure. This ability to be flexible, of course, comes down to what I think is the most important variable, and that is people. People make companies work, and I would suggest that those companies who encourage and in fact demand that their employees possess that entrepreneurial can-do spirit are the companies who will remain in business for the long term. Bank of America is an example of this type of company. Of course, there are processes and procedures that we all must follow as we go about our work, but we are fortunate that our company's leadership understands that independent entrepreneurial behavior will make the difference between success and failure. When I think about why I've been successful in this environment, my feeling is that much of it is the result of being able to navigate within the structure of a large organization while still thinking and managing in an entrepreneurial fashion. In my role as the head of the private bank, I'm responsible for leading a team of professionals who provide integrated wealth management solutions like investments, trust, banking, and credit to high net worth clients. And when I walk through the door each day, I consider what I need to do to move the business forward. In short, I approach my work as if it were my own business. And frankly, if I waited for the bank to tell me what to do each day, I have no doubt that the door I'd be walking through would be a revolving one. How did I come to think like this? And let me share a little bit about my personal background. I started in banking as a part-time teller, working my way through college. I was the youngest of 4 children, and by the time I came along, there just wasn't much money. I didn't mind, though. I worked 3 days a week and then hopped on the train and went out to school for 4 days, and in a way, I kind of had the best of both worlds. I was an English major with a business minor at a time when English majors really weren't in vogue. It was a time for engineers and scientists, and all the major engineering firms were really the only ones recruiting on campus. For a long time, I thought I'd be a teacher, but somewhere in the middle of my junior year, I got this notion that the banking business might be somewhat more lucrative. Honestly, though, I really didn't have a plan. But by senior year, I had advanced to customer service and platform sales at the bank, and by the time I graduated, I had an offer to join the bank's management training program. It seemed like a good idea for an English major in a world filled with engineers, and the rest, as they say, is history. I've had many roles in the bank, from loan officer to private banker, from operations officer to team leader. In September 2004, I became the president of Bank of America, New Jersey. I have been incredibly fortunate to have worked with some wonderful, talented people, and I've built many, many friendships along the way. I've had some terrific bosses, and some pretty tough ones too, many outstanding colleagues, and an extraordinary group of dedicated employees. Without a doubt, every step forward for me has been better than the last. In fact, as I look at my business today, I would tell you that I believe our team is the most talented team I have ever had the privilege to lead. Tonight, I'd like to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned along the way, all of which have helped me, very simply, to be effective in leading people and running a successful business. First, don't be afraid to fail. Successful entrepreneurs think about success, because if they didn't, they'd never try anything new. You've all heard that saying, no guts, no glory. What that means is that very often failure or perceived failure is really an opportunity in the making. People like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs weren't thinking about failure all the time that they were working in their garages. What they think about is success each and every day. It's what keeps them focused, and some might say it's what they live for. Next, be prepared to work hard. Lasting success doesn't come easy. It comes from hours of preparation, discipline, and a strong work ethic. You'll always find small successes, but the key to sustainability is maintaining your focus and driving towards making things better, different, special. It's like the greatest athletes who train all of their lives to compete for Olympic gold. What makes them outstanding performers is their commitment to compete at the highest level, regardless of whether they win the gold. And honestly, the silver and bronze aren't bad either. I mean, you don't have to be Tiger Woods to be successful. Most people would consider Greg Schiano to be pretty successful as well. Next, you must persevere despite naysayers. There is always someone who will tell you it can't be done. And if you're committed to your dream, don't let yourself be discouraged. Keep going. Here's a big one. Don't sweat the little stuff. In a big company, there are silos all over the place. People with competing agendas, people under different levels of pressure, people at different stages in their personal and professional development. And because of all these differences, priorities can sometimes appear to compete with each other. Don't get lost in that. Remember that everything happens at a point in time. Sometimes you simply need to take a step back, be a little patient, and adjust your time frames to fit a situation. That can go a very long way towards helping you cope with those little irritations that can creep up and really start to drag you down. Don't forget, you are in complete control of your attitude. Make it work for you. Here's a very important one. Do everything that you do with integrity. At the end of the day, you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror. Reputation can carry you through those times when you're uncertain, when you need help, or when you have to take some really big risks. Remember that nothing happens in a vacuum. If you waste time gossiping about other people, for example, or being overly critical or undermining them, you make yourself a target for exactly the same thing. Also, especially in today's world, it's your responsibility to know the rules. Lack of awareness isn't an excuse, and you have to make it your business to know. Ultimately, when you expose yourself to questions about your integrity, it may be the most difficult thing to fix. So treat it with the care and the respect that it deserves. Next, you need a network. And that network includes people both internally and externally, and they serve very different purposes, but both are really critical. Your internal network are those people you can really count on to tell you the truth. No matter how difficult it might be, they will challenge your ideas and behavior. They won't judge you, but rather they seek to support you. Your external network are those people who keep you plugged in. You can call them to get information. There are those you call to ask a favor. They have a different view of the world based on where they sit or what they do. This network can really give you the right perspective and help you to develop a viewpoint that is much broader than what you see from your own seat. They extend your vision well beyond your own small world. Most importantly, they help you to take an enterprise view and enable you to see things that you might not otherwise see on your own. Next, remember to always treat people with respect. We're all adults, and when you discuss someone's performance, don't forget that. We've all achieved success in our lives in one way or another. There are many, many very successful people here tonight, and we've all survived to this point, right? Take that into account when you're giving someone tough feedback. The person who may be failing at a particular job may be a wonderful parent or a great baseball coach or a great athlete. Make sure you guide people through these conversations with compassion and honesty and even a sense of humor. And don't let someone's self-esteem get mixed up with work stuff. And speaking of a sense of humor, you need to have one. And if you've been given that gift, use it. It will make others feel comfortable, and it's a great way to demonstrate your vulnerability and courage all at the same time. It can get you through those uncomfortable silences. It helps to put others at ease, and for a lot of people, it's even a sign of intelligence without boastfulness. And if you don't find yourself feeling particularly funny, learn to smile and be generous and genuine with your laughter. It will have the same positive impact on people. Next, commit to an honest assessment of who you are. Self-awareness and an ability to say, I'm not really great at that, are fundamental to building trust and respect. It also makes people more comfortable in taking risks right alongside of you. Also, commit to your own education. Knowledge is a journey, and you are never done. Especially today, in our highly complex world, change comes often and always. Take the time to learn. Read the newspaper and read a book. Take a class. Work with a coach. Take advantage of the informational tools your company gives you. Invest time in your personal development. You're worth it. Remember, perfection isn't the goal, effective is. Don't hold yourself and others accountable to standards that are unachievable. Demonstrate compassion in your views towards others and be honest and direct in your communication. And speaking of communication, you simply cannot listen enough. Listen, 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 and just when you think you have heard it all, listen more intently. Listening builds awareness, creates perspective, demonstrates a commitment to real communication, and above all, it helps you learn and grow. Next, take enough risks to make mistakes. Mistakes are a great learning tool. Life is a challenge, right? Some mistakes are bigger than others, and some take much longer to unwind, and that's just a fact of life. But if you always maintain your integrity, and you're able to admit when you're wrong, you'll find that the circle of friends and colleagues who will step up to the plate for you is very wide, and they'll help you get through those mistakes. Remember, personal leadership is a state of being. It's not the power of position. And people who lead each other by pushing their weight around without substance to back it up will find their influence is really short-lived. Here's a very important one. Never take for granted the responsibility you have to the people who depend on you, your employees, your teammates, your colleagues, your friends. Do everything you can to nurture those relationships. You know, I was talking with an employee not too long ago, and she paid me the highest compliment. She said that she would walk into a burning building for me if that's what I asked. I was really stunned by her directness and the honesty that she conveyed, and it made me honestly stop to think why. Why would she be willing to do that for me? In reflecting on it, I came to two conclusions. First, burning buildings just can't happen every day. They can only happen on the rarest of occasions, and you should never assume that people are prepared to take the same risks as you. You have to respect them enough to ask them each and every time that you need something so important, and be mindful of how many times you ask. Second, remember that you want people to walk into the building with you, not for you. Don't ask people to do things that you yourself aren't prepared or willing to do. You have to lead by example. Next, share the rewards that you're given, both literally and emotionally. You simply can't be generous enough. If you've been rewarded for a job well done, do not forget to acknowledge the team. You need to do this in big ways and small ones. For instance, if you've gotten a great bonus for some strong financial performance, share it and give some back to the team. Spend some of it on a party for them, or go out on a limb and be an advocate in fighting for their compensation, or indulge them in a gift that they would never buy for themselves. Or, if you've gotten a pat on the back for a job well done, thank your teammates. Make a phone call or send a letter to their manager to let them know. You might mention how much you appreciate them the next time you see their spouse or family, or simply thank them personally for working so hard one day. Make it a point to get to know your employees, ask what's important to them, so that when you do have a chance to share rewards, you can do it in a way that means the most to them. Sharing rewards can be big or small. Remember, all of it counts. Make it a priority. And by the way, when you share rewards and you do it right, you'll receive the greatest gift of all. Here's a really important one. You need to develop a thick skin. No matter how hard you try, no matter how sincere your effort, no matter how good our intentions are, there will always be people who just don't like us. You have to accept this and learn to find ways to work with people that you don't always see eye to eye with. Focus on the points where you connect and agree, and let the other stuff go. Through your common ground, you'll build tolerance and ultimately relationships. Tolerance is a great gift to demonstrate, and it pays back in spades, especially at those times when you need it most. If you're talented, don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. You need to have grace and accept the responsibility of the gifts that you're given and use them every day in the best way you can. Don't waste a lot of time comparing yourself to others when you're at the head of the pack. You're there because you have the capacity to do great things and maybe do much more than you're doing today. Set your own benchmarks. Challenge yourself to new levels of performance every day. Own it. When you do that, you'll be surprised at how many people around you raise their game as well. Next, take the time to think about your priorities and your values, and never let the company get in the way of that. I've seen many, many colleagues who think that their business priorities are different than their personal ones, and that is simply not true. You have to incorporate your values into what you do every day, 24 hours a day, whether at work or at home. Your values are a critical part of who you are. I believe that one's greatest success comes when you find ways to incorporate your personal beliefs into what you do every day. Anything less would be false. Values are about behaviors. You own them, and you cause results through your actions. And finally, and perhaps most important of all, there's a great saying that I learned a long time ago, and it's struck with me for many years, and it's simply this: don't wait for someone to bring you flowers. You have to plant your own garden. The first time that I heard that phrase, it came from my sister-in-law, Barbara, who at the ripe old age of 38 had lost her husband in a sad and pointless car accident. And at the time, Barbara and Joe had 3 very young daughters. The oldest was 12. And as she moved forward with her life and the task of raising 3 young women, difficult under any circumstances, she taught them this lesson. Those girls grew up to be wonderful women, and as I think today about my own 5-year-old, I can't think of a better way to approach life. That phrase is the essence of the entrepreneurial spirit, and one that will sustain you in any corporate culture and any situation, no matter how challenging or how complex. I want to congratulate all of you today on being successful entrepreneurs. What you've accomplished is really, really impressive. And not only do I look forward to talking with you after our program concludes today, but I certainly also look forward to counting on many of you as Bank of America clients one day. Thank you.
In your multitude of interests and work and family, who do you look to towards for inspiration?
I look to a lot of different people, but one person who really comes to mind is my mother. My mother was hardly what we would define as an entrepreneur by today's standards. She grew up in a very small town on a farm and the daughter of immigrant parents, but she built a life for herself and for my family that was wonderful, and she had extraordinary values. I feel that she had tremendous impact on me, and I feel those values are things that I live by today. I think what creates success in our business world is a commitment to values and integrity, and it's being the best that you can be. So I think she taught me that.
You've echoed beautifully a lot of the points and principles that we profess in our entrepreneurial courses. And I just can't overemphasize the importance of the one-on-one influence that you've had and you've expounded upon tonight. I was wondering if you could go a step further and share with us what you think Bank of America is doing to extend your personal philosophy into relationships throughout the organization, to spread that through all of your employees.
I think the first thing that Bank of America did is ask me, as the president of the bank, to lead 6,000 employees across the state here in New Jersey. I think our company is very committed to developing entrepreneurship, and in fact, it's more than commitment, it's a requirement. In order for a company as large and as complex as ours to be successful, we really need to have leadership at every level in our organization. And so what the company has done is it's allowed me to really employ my own brand of leadership, develop talent both internally as well as externally, and get out there in the community and really do some branding to deliver our message in the right way. You know, we have worked with many universities and schools at different levels to support development and education. We try to put our philanthropic resources to great use out there to make sure that the community knows that our vision is consistent with that message, a focus on development and education. And so, you know, I think the company has asked me to lead, has given me wonderful resources, and I think continues to support the kind of behavior and values that I know are very important and very personal to me.
You've had a wonderful career, and you said you have a small child. How have you managed to balance work and family?
I could give you a public answer to say it's very simple, or I could give you the answer that my closest business partner, my assistant Marion, and I laugh about all the time, which is I don't know how we balance it, but somehow you manage to. I have a wonderful family, and I think part of what helps me balance it is that I don't feel constrained by traditional images of who does what. And that helps. You know, the economics today are very different than they were 50 years ago, and I think it's up to us as individuals in the workforce to define our own space. We have to define what's right and what's not, and we also have to really spend some time, I think, choosing our priorities. So one of the ways I balance it is I don't sweat the little stuff. I don't try to be all things to all people. I try to make the time that I spend with my 5-year-old quality time, and find ways to have fun together and think together and enjoy each other. And frankly, I think she feels it's actually very normal, you know, for someone's mother to be the president of a bank. She said to me early this week, we were talking, and she said, you know, Mom, I wish you could come and work at my school. And I said to her, really? Do they need a president of Bank of America at your school? And she said, no, but you could work in the cafeteria. And, You know, the beautiful thing is that she's 5 years old, and she's grown up in an environment where this is normal. And I think that's the direction we want our lives to go in, where we have choices all over the place, and we can create our own future, plant our own gardens. So